the world of Instagram marketing is like a very scary place, right? And
Mm.
world of girl boss business coaches is an even scarier place where there are people posting every 5 seconds. I made 100K in
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Oh my God.
I've made 100K in 5 minutes. My clients signed like gazillion clients. I've done this, I've done that. And, something that came up really quickly was like, my results aren't good enough. I am
Mm.
coached to do this. Who am I to actually lead this?
Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Awakened Entrepreneur Show. This is Juan Galan, your host, and I am back with a brand new guest in the podcast. She's a dear friend of mine, and she was actually one of my first clients ever when I started my Instagram coaching business. And I know that I think her first coach, Gaby Metz, she started her business teaching yogis how to build their brands on Instagram through content and marketing. And that's how I discovered her. I thought that was such a unique approach to teaching marketing that I immediately followed her. We connected, and almost 3 years later, we've both pivoted, we've both expanded our brands, we've both built soul aligned businesses, and now she's here in the show with me. So, hi, Gabi, how are you? I'm so happy you're here with me.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm just so excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk about your journey. I feel like we both share very similar journeys of having built a very niche brand and realizing that we were not aligned with that anymore, and pivoting and going through all the things that pivoting comes with, the good and the bad things. So we're going to be talking all about that. So I want to start by asking you, how did your journey as a marketing coach for yoga teachers begin?
That's a great story. In about 2018, I became a mom to my second child, and I started to feel like a little bit empty, like I was craving something more than just being a mother. And so off I went, did a yoga teacher training. And then for the next 2 years, I was like this teacher teaching at all the studios in South Africa, which is originally where I'm from. And it was great. But then COVID hit. And when COVID,
Mm,
like many people, especially many like fitness people and yogis, I was forced to take my business online. And when I took it online, something that I noticed really quickly that happened for me versus for like my colleagues and my friends was that I was on Instagram, like God knows if I was actually posting the right content or not. Like, well, clearly I wasn't because I hired you a few years later. I was just posting the things. I was going live. I was doing all the things, but people were coming to my Zoom classes. People were coming to my classes. People were coming to my yoga in the park. And a lot of my friends were saying to me, hey, how are you doing this? Like, can you teach me how? And without actually realizing it, I was like, maybe there's something here. And what you don't know is that I've actually got a big marketing background. I've got 15 plus years in marketing, PR, event management. I've worked with a lot of premium brands from that, like, everybody here probably knows really, really well, everything from like Levi's to Adidas to like Emilio Pucci. So I've really worked on like a lot of brands. And so I really drew on like my marketing knowledge and brought that stuff forward. And just out of nowhere, it kind of like started to slowly blow up. And my husband and I decided in COVID, I don't know what we were actually thinking, but we thought, let's immigrate. Let's immigrate and start all over again. And so we did. And that's really where my business was born. I knew that when I immigrated, I didn't want to be a mom that just left my kids to be raised by anybody. Like, I wanted to be here. And at the time, the online dream was passive income and you'll work a few hours a day. And so I obviously fell for that, but I became obsessed with my work, and I became obsessed with helping yoga teachers build their brand online. And that's really where the business started.
wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think I discovered your account after COVID, and I still remember the day I was at this working space that I was working for. They were one of my social media clients when I was a freelancer, and my ex at that time, he loved yoga. And he's also a marketer. He's like a really good marketer. So when I saw your account, like yoga and also marketing, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. I know he's going to love it. So I sent your account to him, and we just like, we loved everything that you were doing back then. And I still remember your branding. It was like this like light baby green with like the white kind of beige thing. Tell me a little bit more about what your brand looked and felt like back then, and what was your identity at that time?
Gosh, it's so funny. I remember the green. I think everybody kind of knew me for the green because it was different. And like, I remember
Yeah.
So when I was like working on all of my branding, back then branding for me was very much an outside in approach, whereas now it's very different. But
Mm,
it's like the first thing that really came to me was that you've got to stand out, you've got to be different. And every yoga teacher I knew was pink or earthy and beiges and stuff. And I was like green, like I'm going to be rich. We're going to do green. We're going to attract all these. And so, yeah, like I joke, but yeah, that's really where it kind of came from. And I did put a lot of like intention behind it. I was really, really intentional with a lot of things that if you found me on the explore page, and I used to hit the explore page a lot, like it's like if you found me on the explore page, like people recognized me immediately. And I think in terms of the identity, the approach that it really came from, it was like there was no one who was specific for yoga teachers in the
yeah.
business coaching world who was actually focusing on Instagram. There were a lot of
Yeah.
people teaching them funnels, ads, webinars, whatever, but there was actually, and their Instagram marketing was so bad. I was like, this is such an opportunity. Like, I'm going to seize this and I'm going to learn everything I can and become the best, which I did because then I hired you and then my account blew up. And yeah, like, I mean, like I say, it was very much like an outside in approach. It was like, there's the opportunity, there's my niche. I've got the experience to back it up. Let's go, which strategically made a lot of sense. And I did this probably for about like a year and a half where I was building out really amazing courses. I was building and they were doing well. Like launching for me was the easiest thing. I would launch an offer. I'd get like 100 people into my offers in like 4 days.
Mm,
It's like I knew how to play the game. I knew how to play the
yeah.
Instagram really easily. And it was almost looking back, I'm like telling the story and I think, oh, you idiot. Why did you why did you pivot? But yeah, but like on the outside, it felt really successful and it was. And I knew that I was really impacting people and changing lives. But what I also really saw happening was that I was also positioning myself very much as a transactional business. And solution to a problem where you come to Gaby and you learn content, you learn messaging, and that's cool, but then you're not going to stay with her for a year, or you're not going to hire her and go on retreats, or she's not the person you're going to have talking on stages of how you're going to like change lives. And I realized very quickly that if I carried on branding myself as the yogi content girl, my career was really limited to working with a specific type of person. And my brand really couldn't evolve beyond Instagram.
Totally, totally. Like experience exactly the same. And I feel that a lot of people that start in the marketing space or Instagram marketing space go through a very similar phase, which takes me to my next question. You just share with me, like you start to realize that your brand no longer reflected who you truly were. I would love to hear from you what fears came up when you thought about pivoting.
My word, I get chills even thinking about it because it was like, I think especially look like the world of Instagram marketing is like a very scary place, right? And world of girl boss business coaches is an even scarier place where there are people posting every 5 seconds. I made 100K in
Yeah.
five
Oh my
minutes.
God.
I've made 100K in 5 minutes. My clients signed like gazillion clients. I've done this, I've done that. And, something that came up really quickly was like, my results aren't good enough. A coach to do this. Who am I to actually lead this? Like, why would anyone want to learn from me when they could learn from her? And so very quickly, anytime I ever thought of pivoting, I quickly squashed it because I thought, this is good. You're doing well. Don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot.
Mm,
Stay with what you're doing. You can take your kids on vacations. You're working with great people. This is all that you've ever wanted. And every time I thought of pivoting, I was filled with a lot of fear. But I think that I kept on thinking about it. And the fact that I kept thinking about it, I knew my intuition was guiding me that I needed to look into something bigger. And I started to learn very quickly that fear is not something that we actually, when it happens, that we lean out. Like I really have come to learn in my experience with so many things that have happened in my life that whenever I've felt scared and I've really leaned in, like my biggest breakthrough has been on the other side of that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, fear is actually not a bad thing. And this is something I've talked about in one of my previous episodes. Like the fact that we feel scared, that we have fear about something, means that we're actually on the right path. Like, it would be, if we don't feel fear about something, if something doesn't scare us, it's because we're probably staying in our comfort zone and we're not growing, or we're not ready for that expansion or evolution. So you would say that you had this desire to pivot for a while, but you didn't really follow through immediately, right? How long did it take you to actually decide, okay, this is it, I'm pivoting?
Yeah, it was probably last year, January of 2024. I had just gone on vacation and I came home and I was like, yeah, we've done a rebrand. It's such a vibe. And I remember every time I went to go and write my content, like I would write content for a yoga teacher. And it was almost like I would write yoga or yogi, like just for the sake of like having the word there for SEO and like targeting the yogis and all the things. It didn't really feel like, it just felt like a part of me that had served me for such a long time, because yoga and still the practice, like it really it is the reason why I'm speaking to you right now. Like there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, but it's not my entire identity. Like I'm a multidimensional being, I'm a mother, I'm a
Love
wife,
that.
I'm Gaby Metz, I'm not a yoga teacher only. Like I'm not going to stuff myself into frameworks and leggings for the rest of my life. And so that was really like the beginning of it. And I started toying with the idea, but at the time I was working with a coach who I really, really liked, but she was very driven on get the funnels and we've got to get the program out. And I launched like one of my signature courses again, which launched really well. And, you know, it was like, whatever, you know, great launch and made a lot of money and life was good. But like every time I went to sell it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And
Yeah.
2024, I was like, I'm out. And actually another coach at the time said to me, she just said to me, you know, like if you're scared, that's probably a sign for you to lean in. It's not a sign for you to lean out. And I was like, "Hmm."
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I love how our paths are so aligned, because I also started feeling that disconnect. I struggled with my content, my brand throughout 2023, but things were kind of going well. But at the beginning of 2024, I was like, there's like a part of me that wants to do more, to share more, to talk about all these different things, about mindset, about um, energy, all the things that I love that I'm learning. But I just, yeah, I felt scared because I was building something that was successful and it was working. And I remember speaking with my coach about it as well. And she actually told me, like, do it. But I was just too scared. And it wasn't until September last year that I decided, okay, I'm actually pivoting with no map, with no clear direction. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna see how it goes. And right now it's going. It's still going. Like I have a friend who messaged me the other day, and he was like, he's a brand strategist, and he's like, can you explain your brand to me? You like, one day you're an Instagram coach, the next day you are AI, the next day you're Jesus, the next day you're talking about being gay, now you're talking about business again. Like, can you please explain? And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest. I'm just following my gut, my intuition, and just taking it one day at a time.
Honestly think that no one actually knows what the fuck they're doing. It's just not a lot
Mm,
of courage to actually say it out loud. So I get that. I get that. And I
yeah.
think that there's so much learning that happens, like so much clarity happens in the mess of it all.
Yeah.
And that's like having the courage to do that in public. I think that's one of the biggest things that I think actually stops people from pivoting, is that you're not actually scared of the pivot itself. Like you're scared of failing in public. You're scared of what that
Mm,
mean. And it takes a lot of courage, like a lot of courage to be able to show up every day, pivot, try again, try this,
mm.
try. When you got your friends cheering you on, like it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I think we've both experienced the same thing, that after we pivoted, our reach, engagement, and growth
Did.
dropped massively,
Did.
like massively, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling some days. It's incredibly difficult. And I think that the thing is that it's really more of an ego thing, because
Yeah.
I have got this soul belief that I know my dream clients are seeing me. Like I don't care if I've got like 40 views on my stories. Like I know, and I mean I went from like 400 views to 40 views, right? So it's like I know that if people are watching, like that is a soul aligned dream human that's like ready to go. And that belief, like literally that belief saves me every single day, where I'm like, I'm not here to serve like a million people. It's like one human just needs to see this. And still, I also understand that part of the game is growth, right? Like part of the game is
Mm,
this is part of the game, right? So it's hard, but I think what this has really taught me, and I think that this is really what's really birthed like the movement and the clients that I attract and the way that we operate, is that we really now, instead of looking at these things like low reach or a failed launch or no one's buying, somebody defaults on a payment or somebody says to you that they didn't like your course or whatever comes up, it's like we use all of these things and we innovate and we're like, okay, like let's go. Like watch us blow this up. Like we turn low income months into high cash months because we're like, let's just fucking go. Like whatever universe, like I see you, we're in and we're gonna play the game differently.
totally. And I love what you said about like having this belief that the right person is going to find you, whether you have 1 million views or 10 views, like the right person is watching. So this is something that I want people listening to remember, and is that if you are, and I think this is important as well, if you are in alignment with the brand that you've built and the business that you're creating, it doesn't matter how many followers or views you have, the right people will find you, will come to you, right? But you need to be speaking your truth and be in alignment, which takes me to my next question, because you do talk a lot about building a soul aligned brand, which also really resonates with the kind of language that I use and the person that I am. So what does a soul aligned brand mean to you?
It's such a good question. And like, so I think like when we really zoom out, right? Like when we really think about what a brand is, right? A brand is what you're known for. It's like when somebody's listening to this podcast, it's like, oh, Gabby, like she's like a messaging queen, or like Juan, like, oh my God, like IG growth,
Hmm?
or whatever people are saying. So like the brand essentially is like what you're known for. But for me, it was like, well, I'm not here just to be someone that you talk about like when I'm not in the room with you, right? Like that's not really the goal. Like the goal for me is to build a brand legacy. The goal for me is to
Yes.
live every single day like so in aligned with my mission and my
Mm,
purpose and just who I have to be in order to call my clients to rise higher and all of us collectively like we're impacting thousands with our work. Like to me, it felt so much bigger than just a brand. And so
yeah.
like where I think of like a soul brand or like I think about like a soul brand, I think about a legacy. It's like, yes, practical level. What do I want to be known for? Sure. But it's also like, I want to create a world where my clients come and they grow inside forever because they love the version of themselves that they're becoming. And this is,
Beautiful.
yeah. And it's like, it's not just felt like this is why my Content Yogi account worked back in the day where it was just green and you all remembered me and that was fine. And I was known. I was Gabby, a content queen. I was cool. Now it's like when people come into my offers, my world, whether it's like a $33 offer, whether it's like a $6,000 mastermind, whether it is coming with me on a retreat, whatever that means, it's like they step in and they shift at an identity level because the way that they feel in my world is different. And for me, that's what it means to create a soul brand where your clients can come and they grow, they evolve. It's like so much bigger than just fonts and colors. It's about an entire
Yeah.
experience that creates a brand legacy. And that for me
Oh,
is the big difference.
totally. It's so funny because I was just recording an episode specifically on building and on rebranding into a soul aligned brand, which is what we've done. And when people talk about rebranding, they just, oh, I want to change my colors and my fonts and my logos, because that's what they see people doing all the time. I see all these girlies on Instagram like rebranding all the time, but like a true rebrand comes from your soul, comes when you are brave enough to be fully seen for who you are, and to talk about your experiences, your challenges, your beliefs, share your values, right? What would you say that when you went through this whole soul aligned rebrand, what new passions or truths did you start allowing into your content? Maybe anything around your beliefs or your identity.
Yes. Yes. I think the hardest thing for me has always been that I found myself stuffing myself into frameworks and formulas because that's what I'd
Mm,
worked. And I learned that I had to talk a certain way, I had to use certain words in order to attract X type of client, in order to play the algorithm game and grow the audience, in order to
yeah.
the sale. And so it's been really hard to unlearn that and actually trust my intuition more and bring conversations that I'm really passionate about. And to be fair, it's something that I'm still working on, something that I find really, really difficult. But I think that one of the biggest things that this has actually taught me, and it's a big brand value that I have, is that one of the things I value more than anything is as a vulnerable authority. And so similar to you, and I bring forward these conversations. Like if I have a low income month, I'm not going to keep quiet and be like, oh, okay, I'll wait till the next high cash month so I can celebrate that.
Mm,
You know what? We're having an income dip and let's talk about it. This is what it means. Like, these are the conversations that I'm bringing forward. Because when I think of what leadership really means to me, like, I'm not hiring a coach because she makes X amount of money. Like, I'm hiring a coach because I see how she leads herself when times are shitty, when she's having a hard time. And I watch how she holds herself, she holds the community, and then she rises. And that's the person that I want to do life with. And that to me is what true leadership is. And so, in every way, shape, and form in my brand, it's like if there's one conversation that I've started bringing forward more, it's the vulnerable conversation
yeah.
means to really be a leader.
Yeah, I love that. And not a lot of people are brave enough to be so vulnerable with these things, right? So I'm so happy to see that you're embodying that true leader, because true leadership is about that, right? It's about being vulnerable, it's about being real, it's about like having walked through the fire and now being able to bring people with you and help them through their own fires. So I love that. So one of the reasons why I've started this whole podcast and this rebrand was because I became a very spiritual person. And it's been like a very beautiful spiritual journey. And I always like to talk about spirituality in the podcast. And I sense that you are a very spiritual person. So I would love to know, what role has spirituality played in your business, and how and if you bring it into your work?
My word. Yeah. Like I get goosebumps just thinking about it because it's like I get the feeling and I'm like, I am the person who charges crystals under the moonlight kind of person. So yeah, not in the sense, not like very religious, but I do think
Mm-hmm.
myself as like a very intuitive person, very connected. Like I've always, for example, like I've always charged my offers in like angel price, in angel numbers kind of thing.
Mm,
I think that in terms of like really bringing it into my work, I think there's two things. Cause I think that at the risk of sounding woo woo, but I think that you've got a pretty woo audience. So it's cool. But it's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
at the risk of sounding a bit woo, it's like I believe like we're atoms, right? Like essentially we're made up of atoms. And what are atoms when we split them open? Like atoms are just energy, right? So it's like when we really think about it, like we're just masses of energy and we're operating all at different frequencies. And
Totally.
when there are things that are not vibing, right? Like when, and it usually starts with us, like when I say not vibing, if it's like maybe you're getting like canceled on the internet, or maybe you're getting, I don't know, maybe like you're not making sales or whatever the story is. It's like, to me, that's always an energetic reflection first versus
100%.
versus the strategy stuff that needs to come. And so in terms of like how I've really brought this into my work, like, one of the things, and I learned it from Tony Robbins because at the beginning of the year, I was going through a really, really difficult, like really, really bad income dip. Like I hadn't been able to come right from this pivot. I had expenses coming out of my ears and it
Mm,
was exceptionally difficult. And on the internet, somebody actually said you're a business coach, but nobody's commenting on your stuff that they want to buy from you. And I was like, oh, like, why
no.
did you go there? And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, like just send me a freaking sign, like tell me what to do. And out of nowhere, Tony Robbins came into my life and I did Unleash the Power Within online. And I was waking up at 1 a.m. in the morning and I was like, I don't know what the hell
Wow.
I need, but I'm like, I just need something. I know that this is just where I'm meant to be. Like God put him in front of me for whatever reason. And one of the things that I learned from him, and this is what I bring into my teaching now, this I'd say like this is the foundation of everything I teach, is that if you're doing all the strategy in an entrepreneur's case, right? Say you're posting all the different content types, you're selling on stories from all the different angles, you're sending things to your list, you are launching all the offers, like you've built the community, if you're ticking all the boxes, but things are not working, asking why is this not working is probably the worst question you can ask yourself because this
Mm,
actually come before strategy that a lot of people overlook. And the first thing that we look at before the strategy part is what story are you actually telling yourself? So
yeah.
time, right? It's like for us, when we said let's pivot niches, but who am I to lead this? I'm not good enough. She'll always make more money
Yeah.
than me. And like, whatever story you start to tell yourself is going to impact the strategy. So like, I don't care what content you're posting. If you think to yourself, oh my God, who am I to lead this? I'm not good enough. There is 110% of frequency behind that. I don't care how specific your hook is. And there is a reason why there are people on the internet who can post a carousel and make $50,000 and why there are people posting carousels making barely a buck. And the other aspect that I've brought into my teaching is, well, what influences the story that we tell ourselves? Because I can throw an I am affirmation on the mirror and I can be like, okay, cool, I'm Gaby Metz. Yeah, I've got this. Today's Monday. Let's go crush it. But like, I'm not actually believing it. And
Mm,
this for me is the big thing is that, well, what frequency am I operating from? Am I looking after myself? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I being a good mom? Am I getting looked after myself? Am I, like I look at all of the things that externally I'm like, am I checking in with me first? Like I'd obviously gone through meditation phases by being a yoga teacher and then I just lost that, right? Like we immigrated and it was like, oh my God, I just need to keep my children alive and make them chicken nuggets
mm,
just really survive. But like got me back into meditation. It got me back into gratitude. It got me back into all these things that part of myself, to be honest, like I'd deeply forgotten because I was so consumed about, hitting six figures, multi six figures, all the things. And so for
yeah.
well, when I look at God, I look at spirituality, I look at Tony Robbins, one of my greatest teachers of all time. And I'm like, we need the frequency, clean up the story and go crush the strategy. And that for me
Yeah.
basis of everything that I teach now.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and one of the problems that I see happening all the time is that most of the time we're not even aware of the story we tell ourselves or the beliefs that we have about ourselves. And that's why I've been getting so much into somatic work and nervous system regulation because these things are stored in our body. And once you bring awareness to them and then you know where you're holding this energy and you can release it, things start shifting. But I love everything you said about spirituality. You mentioned God because I always ask my guests, do you believe in God? And what does God look like to you? Because it looks different for everyone. You mentioned that you're not like religious. So yeah, tell me a little bit about what God is for you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I grew up, I was raised Jewish.
Okay.
I grew up believing that God, like I grew up believing Jews are the Jewish people, the chosen ones, very like
Mm,
arrogantly in my brain, like
yeah.
is I was always brought to, believe that he was a man, like this big man. And if we don't fast on whatever the fast is and stuff, like you're going to be in the book of death and you're going to die. And all.
Mm,
I would have to say like 90% of my life, that's genuinely what I believed. I just believed that it was a him and that I just had to do everything that, we were told to do. And I'd say maybe in about 2018, after I'd had my kids, that when I really got into yoga, that I was like, it shifted the belief that actually God's not him, God is me. I am God.
mm,
I am the source of all the amazing things in my life. And that really understanding that I am responsible for everything that happens was the hugest shift because there was no longer this fear of me that, like, oh my God, if I do this wrong, I'm gonna, whatever, like, I'm never gonna see my kids again or something, which is sad because I believe that, I mean, and I've got nothing against any religion, but I do believe that I was living from a place of fear or just following this religion from a place of fear. Whereas now it's like when I say God, I'm like, yeah, God is me, God is Gaby, God is you. Like it's inside of all of us. So it's
totally.
yeah, I've never said it out loud, but I'm looking like I am God, like I am the version of me who like makes it all happen. And that's what it really, really means to me now, because it's like, yes, am I guided? I believe in all the angels and all the things for sure. But I also believe that like universe, source, God, whatever it is that you want to call it, it's like all a mirror to how you move. So
Totally. I love that you said that God lives within us because that's something that I also believe. For me, God is everything, everywhere, everyone. And it's just the source of, like, we all come from the same source, which means we all have part of God inside of us, right? And there's a lot of things that I don't agree with in terms of like religious stories, but that's a thing we can leave for another time. So I have a few more questions before we wrap this up. Tell us a little bit about your work today. Like, who do you help and why?
the shift. So I guess like when I really pivoted, I was like, well, who am I really here for? What is this work really about? And when I got honest with myself, like I've always just, I think a lot of female business coaches do, you gravitate to women because that's who you are. And
Mm,
in fairness, like I'm my ideal client. So it's like when I think of who my ideal client is and I think about like the work that we do, I'm like, who do I want to work with? It's like I want to work with Gabby's. Like I want to work with people who are passionate and heart led, devoted to their mission. They want to get their work into the hands of thousands of people. And genuinely, like the people that I work with, they're iconic. They've already built something that's incredible. And now this is so much more about infusing their soul and their mission into their work.
mm,
And so what I do is I actually help women build a brand legacy beyond the tiny squares of Instagram. And so
love that.
this is really, yeah. And I'm really excited about it because it's like the work that we do is so much bigger than stuffing ourselves behind these squares. And it's really been the biggest shift, I'd say, and still figuring it out.
No, it's beautiful because for most business owners, I think it gets to a point where Instagram becomes their whole world. And I love that you're like opening up their mind and be like, hey, you're not building just an Instagram brand, you're building a legacy. And I really, really align with what you said. Like, we're building legacies, we're building movements. Something that I always ask my clients is like, what's your 100-year vision? They're like, but I'm not going to be here in 100 years. And I'm like, exactly. What's the legacy that you're going to leave in this world when you're gone? Like, I want you to think about that, like that far in the future, not just what you're going to be doing in 5 years or 10 years.
God, I'm obsessed with that. Like I might steal that from my clients because, I think
Do
the
it.
things that comes up a lot with a lot of people that I work with, it's like, well, what's your vision? And they're like, I just want to sign clients. I'm like,
Mm,
you just want to sign clients, or do you want to be talking on stages? Do you want to be writing books? Do you want to be on Mel Robbins' podcast? Like, what is it that this work is really about for you? And that's when it hits on them. They're like, my God, can I actually talk? Can I dream that big? Am I
yeah. People are scared to dream. It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stay, and that's
Yeah.
why they stuck.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, speaking about being stuck, for someone who's listening who feels stuck in an old identity or an old brand that doesn't feel like themselves anymore, what would you tell them?
That's a good question. I think that what I would ask them is, well, now I might ask them what's their 100-year vision. I bet I'm joking, but I guess what I would ask them is like, if you're feeling stuck and if you're not feeling fulfilled in what it is that you're doing, what is this actually costing you, and where are you going to be this from now?
Yeah, and something that you mentioned before is like sometimes people are more afraid of the fear of failing in public when pivoting. But actually, I think it's even more scary failing yourself, right? From staying in the same place than failing in public multiple times. So I have this section on the podcast, which is rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask you 6 questions really fast and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Let's go.
A book that changed your life.
Ooh, Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis.
Love it. A spiritual tool you swear by.
Gratitude every day.
Great. Favorite way to reset your energy.
Favorite way to reset my energy. Sauna ice bath. Ice cold showers.
Nah, love it. God is, finish the sentence.
Me.
Nice. The bravest thing you've done in business.
Pivot niche.
And one belief you're actively rewriting.
Who am I to lead this?
Nice, nice. Awesome, Gaby. Well, thank you so much for your time. Before we go, please tell the listeners and the viewers, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram because that's where I hang out mostly. So come see It's Gaby Metz. I would love, love, love to obviously connect with you guys. And that's really it. We're in the process of building up funnels and websites and all those things. So we're not there. We're not there yet.
Neither am I, to be honest. My website is so outdated. But thanks so much. I'll make sure to link your Instagram in the show notes. And yeah, Gaby, such a good conversation. Thank you so much for making the time for this, for opening up about your journey, your vulnerabilities. I know that this is going to be really inspiring for people watching and listening. And I will see you very, very soon.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was amazing.
Thank you. Bye bye. And guys, I'll see you next week on another episode. Bye bye.